Brian Schottenheimer was a very convenient scapegoat for the Seattle Seahawks last year, and I get why. The hard reality of last year, you don't want to blame anybody that's a part of this offense. I mean, we're all blaming Russell Wilson to an extent. He could have been better at a lot of things. We're blaming the offensive line to an extent too. But it really feels like, for the most part, the reason that we think the Seahawks season came to a crashing halt last year was because they totally lost the ability to beat defenses that were rather simple. So then you just point at Brian Schottenheimer and say, oh, well, Brian Schottenheimer's never been good. There's been a lot of beating up on him over the course of the offseason. And I get it. Scapegoating Schottenheimer is the only way that you can legitimately convince yourself that this Seahawks team has a better chance of going to a Super Bowl this year than last. You're buying into the idea then, in doing so, that a first-year offensive coordinator named Shane Waldron is going to make that offense take the lead. It's a lot to put on the shoulders of any coach. Whether it's blaming Schottenheimer last year, or it's just expecting things out of Waldron this season. Will Dissly was on Jake and Stacy yesterday, and he had some interesting comments that should have you thinking about the past and future offensive coordinator of the Seahawks.
Shane's a really smart guy. His offense is really systematic and it has a lot of answers. You know, there's going to be some uniqueness, and the cool part about it is we're going to get some tight ends on the field. You know, I think Gerald and I are going to have a great compliment, and Colby and whoever else steps up, and we're going to create a lot of problems for defenses around the league. You know, we have a really tough division, and I think Shane's ready. He's come prepared, and Russ is picking it up quick. He's excited. It's just there's a newness, there's a new sense of urgency, a new energy, and we're all excited to learn and, you know, get on the field and go operate a little bit. So there's high expectations for our offense always, you know, with Russ leading the charge. And, you know, with the crew that we have, I don't see why we wouldn't be just as dominant as we were last year.
You hear what he said at the beginning? This offense with Shane is systematic. We have answers. It's unique. A little bit later, he says urgent. A lot of those words are likely being said because of just optimism for this coming season. But others are probably because they notice some differences between Waldron and Schottenheimer from last year. Those differences don't necessarily mean future success, as much as we would like to believe that it does. So I think we've gotten to a point now where it is easy to blame Brian Schottenheimer, and he totally shared some of the blame for the Seahawks' offensive failures last year. But much like Danny said earlier this morning on Danny and Gallant, check out the podcast, I think it's time that we move all Schottenheimer scapegoating to the side henceforth. Because if you're really going to blame Schottenheimer for all of the issues last year, expecting a first-time ever offensive coordinator to make all those changes happen this coming season, man, you might be asking for too much.